Welcome back to episode 18 of the Double Down podcast presented by WaterWave. Today is Friday, February 17th, and I'm excited to be back giving you guys another episode. We're now on episode 4 of season 2, and we're getting some great feedback and great interaction, and I can't wait to grow the pod with all of you guys. So I just want to say thank you and appreciate you guys' support. Continue to listen, because we're going to have, guests on week after week and bring in even, great guests every single week. And today's a great episode with another great guest. So I'm excited for you guys to listen to this one. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that we're back here in the studio. It's been a couple weeks with, travel and the holiday season, but we're excited to be back here in the studio in Minneapolis, coming to you guys live from WaterWave. But first, before we get into this interview, we're going to head into the Double Down weekly wrap up. So I had mentioned last week to you guys that, I had a doctor's appointment coming up. So I had my 7-month doctor's appointment checkup last week. Got really good news from the doctor. I'm at about 86% comparison from my left knee to my right knee, in terms of the leg in general, all the muscles and that kind of stuff. And, I feel like I'm in a really good place. I'm on the 4th week of sprinting. So actually yesterday was my first time sprinting. Felt really good, legs been feeling really good. And I actually started kind of getting on the court, a little bit for the past couple weeks. Basic movements, basic movements, but it feels good. I think any hooper knows, like, when you come back from an injury, just that getting the ball in your hand and being on the court is, it's a blessing. So that was big for me. But we're excited to continue to grow and just get healthy and get more time on the court. Only getting 20 minutes right now, but with that, it's going to grow and going to get more time, and just excited for that process. But with all that being said, I'm excited to head into our interview today, which is presented by Royalty. Make sure you head to royaltyfam.com and shop their new line of sportswear. DM us at double_down_pod for a 10% off code. Now let's get into our interview. Today's guest is a former top 50 high school recruit. The 4-star went on to an illustrious career at the University of Minnesota, where he was eventually named a third-team All-American. He went on to become the 33rd overall pick in the 2020 NBA draft and is now a current member of the WindyCity Bulls, a personal friend of mine and a friend of the podcast, Daniel Oturu.
Hey.
There we go. There we go, Dan. There we go, Dan. My guy. Excited to have you on. Been in the works for sure. NBA break, All-Star break is here, so get a little time off back at home. But I want to bring it back. Let's go back. Your come up. Probably played a bunch of sports growing up. A lot of people know the story of your dad. But basketball became your sport. When did basketball when did you know, like, hey, I'm gonna be a hooper? Like, basketball is kind of what I want to do.
Yeah, man. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for having me on, for sure. It's an honor. I'm very appreciative of being able to come on here and talk.
Yeah.
Well, to answer your question, I would definitely say maybe when I was around like 4th grade, 5th grade is when I first started hooping. And kind of from there on, like each year after that, I kept playing traveling. I'm from Woodbury, so I started playing traveling ball with a Stillwater traveling team and some kids from my middle school. And then year after that, I just kept getting better, growing. Each year I was having more fun with it. That's around that time and that age is when I kind of knew that this is something this is my dream, but it's something I actually want to really do.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started pursuing it type of deal where it's like, playing for fun, but, and then you look at your size too, what's going to happen with your size? Like, I got to hoop.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So, you take it into high school, you decide to leave Stillwater, and you go to Cretin-Derham Hall. You finished with a great career at Cretin-Derham Hall. The school's leader in points, rebounds, and blocks. You scored over 2,000 points. You helped the Raiders to a 4A state championship with a game-winning dunk over Trey Jones. Take us to the early days of Cretin. That kind of process to decide to go to Cretin. Obviously, for Minnesota basketball, high school basketball fans know Cretin, is a great program, great coaches. Guys like Trey Hallman, other guys went through that program.
Yeah.
Take us kind of through that decision to go to Cretin and why you think it was the best for your development.
Honestly, it all started when I was in 8th grade. When I went to the high school state tournament, I saw, if I'm being honest, I ain't never heard of Cretan before I got
Yeah.
to that state tournament game when they played Lakeville North and JP McCura.
Yeah.
I watched that game with two of my buddies, and I just seen the atmosphere of that game, and I knew some of the coaches on the staff because they worked for the AAU program that I played for, Howard Pulley, and so that kind of piqued my interest in going there, just because I was like, it could be a dope experience.
Yeah,
I ain't never went to private school. I went to public school all growing up, elementary,
Yeah.
middle school, and all that. So afterwards, that state tournament game, they ended up losing. And I was talking to my parents about it. I'm like, I want a shadow because they have a shadow program. So, like,
Yeah.
you can go and you follow a student around your age for a day and you eat lunch with them. You go to their classes. You know, you meet their friends.
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff. And so I wanted to take a shadow day. And I can't remember who I shadowed, but when I ended up shadowing, it was a really like fun time. Like I saw the school, it was cool. It's a smaller school, like it's a big school as in like building size, but student population is probably like a little under 1,000 kids. So like that's a little different from a typical high school where you have probably a couple thousand plus. And I like that feel of like how small it was, and so I ended up applying and I got accepted in, and so that's pretty much how I ended up going to Cretan.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, obviously, it ended up being probably a great decision for you. You know,
Yeah,
we
for sure.
we mentioned that that state championship run. You actually had just a crazy play at the buzzer. I remember it like like it was yesterday. I was watching that game. You just went up for that alley oop lob dunk and you
Yeah.
brought it down against a guy like Trey Jones, who you probably played. You played Howard Pulley with a bunch. You played a lot of games with. Kind of just take us through that moment. The excitement of winning a state championship and just like
Yeah.
the emotions you kind of felt.
For sure, basically like that's a unforgettable moment for sure. That year that was my senior year, so that year we had a lot of fuel, to our fire. Just because we felt like the year before prior we ended up losing in the first round, but we felt like we were good enough to win it that year as well.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to come back. Our senior, like the main core guys, were all seniors.
Yeah.
And we're like, we want to go out on top.
Yeah.
And that first round loss from the year prior like really motivated us to be like, we want to go out here, kill everybody that's in front of us.
For sure.
And so talking about that specific play, it kind of like is a blur to me a little bit because we had drew up a complete different play.
Oh, really?
And the play got broken because the inbounds pass was tipped. And so fortunately enough, my teammate Cy Chapman was able to get the loose ball and outlet it to my point guard, Ryan Larson. And Ryan is super fast.
One of the fastest dudes, man.
Yeah, super fast guard for sure. And he literally got down the court so quick, and that his decision to throw the lob is really I feel like everybody knows the dunk, blah blah blah, but his play to be able to mentally have that focus of like he's open and I could toss it to him and he can dunk it. Like that play goes really underrated because if him not having that recognition, we don't win the state championship.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, a guy like you can catch lobs in different positions, but also you got to deliver an on time and an accurate pass.
Fact.
And you look at a guy like Ryan, who's now at Charleston, who's having a great year. His development was unbelievable as a player, and
For sure,
a guy
for
that
sure.
when I was at Northern, I remember our coaches wanted Ryan really bad. As a D2 guy, and now he's now he's on a top 25 team in the country.
Starting point guard.
Yeah, starting point guard for Charleston. It's like he makes that kind of play, and it's like you go and win a championship off that play.
Literally,
Yeah,
like,
it's exciting.
His efforts on that play are definitely go underrated, but not by me though.
You got your guy
recognize it.
for
Yeah, it's
sure.
my
You got
guy
your
for
guy
sure.
for sure. Obviously your senior year, ended with a bang. But kind of take us through your recruiting process.
Yeah.
Obviously you were top 50 recruit, 4-star. Recruited by a lot of schools. Kind of take us through your process. Probably started sophomore year.
Yeah, like for sure. Freshman, sophomore year, I started getting letters from schools. Them little recruitment letters.
Yep.
They don't really mean nothing, but
Showing a little love.
Yeah, it's definitely a little nice to like you hear from a school that you're like, man, I watch these guys on TV. And they send me a letter. recognizing my game a little bit. And so, you know, I would say around freshman year, sophomore year, I started getting letters and stuff. And then I would say towards the end of my sophomore year, I want to say around like June. I can't remember what year that is, but I had got my first official offer from the University of Northern Iowa.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool to me because growing up, I used to go to their team camps all the time. My AAU team, we used to play at their team camp, the UNI team camp. And so I was like, man, that's cool as hell. Like, they've been obviously watching me since I was since I was probably like 7th grade.
Yeah.
And now they're giving me a scholarship offer. And so that first offer gave me a sigh of relief, kind of like, man, now I have a sense of direction.
Yeah.
You know? And so like it only motivated me to even work even harder because I knew that like where I wanted to end up ultimately was coming to school here. And so I felt like in order for me to have an opportunity to play in the Big Ten and play for my home state, I had to get a lot better.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, you know, you talk about that trajectory, you know, as a player, but I feel like in the back of your mind, you kind of knew, like, you kind of wanted to go to Minnesota. You know, was that kind of a process that you felt as well?
For sure, I've always wanted to be a Gopher for sure. You know, just because I'm a homebody. Yeah. I'm a guy that's lived here my entire life pretty much, and I like the environment here. I like the people here. I like the opportunity to play basketball on a stage like that was is very hard to pass up. In my opinion, you know, a lot of players feel different, but ultimately later on that summer going into my junior years when my recruitment started picking up, I started getting offers I got my official home state offer from the Gophers, Baylor, Kansas, a whole bunch of schools for sure. And so the recruitment process in general was kind of it was a lot, honestly, because I'm really like, I don't know, like people probably close to me would probably describe me as more of like an introverted person. You know, communicating with people all the time isn't. I'm bad at that. Like I'm really bad at texting back. And that's part of like, you know, as you went through the recruitment process as well, like always having to be on the phone with the coach.
It's overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, it gets overwhelming for sure. And so like I took maybe like one visit. That was to Nebraska. Okay. That was an unofficial visit too. So took a visit to Nebraska, and by that time I probably had like 5 or 6 different offers from like pretty big schools, honestly. Other than Northern Iowa, it was like Minnesota, Kansas, Baylor, Nebraska, all Power 5 conferences. Providence, Big East, you know, and so schools list wasn't really large, but I felt like the quality of the schools is what would represent me as a player.
Kind of that quality over quantity type of deal.
Type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, not too many offers, but the schools that had offered me, you know, like I said, like Power 5 schools. So.
And they were probably on you all the time as well, too.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to like a different coach each and every day. Yeah. You know, Michigan State, just a bunch of people, you know, just always communicating with me, expressing their interest in me as a player. Yeah. You know, and so ultimately looking back, it was a really fun experience. You know, at the time it didn't feel fun just because it was really overwhelming.
Stressful.
It's stressful for sure. But, you know, looking back, it's like, it's dope. You know, you only get to go through it once in your life.
Yeah. Did that make it harder or easier for you to know that you wanted to go to Minnesota with all the, you know, the love that you got?
It made it easier, you know, because I'm really close with Amir Coffey and Jarvis Johnson, who were already students and players here on campus at the U. And so I was always hanging out with them, talking to them, especially when I would have like I would come visit here all the time, like come to games all the time, and I would kick it with them after the games and stuff like that. So like throughout high school, I already felt like I was already on the team. Yeah. Like I was already on the team. I knew pretty much everybody. Like I knew like my freshman year, I would know everybody on the team already. Yeah. And Eric Curry, a guy that I got really close with too. Yep. That's my buddy. And those guys, they made me feel part of the fam already,
Yeah.
and so that's what made my like decision even easier. Like, not to take any visits to anywhere else because I already knew where I kind of wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so, when it came down to it, I think I committed to the U like middle of my junior season.
Okay.
So like pretty early for
Yeah.
like a
Really?
decision.
Yeah. Really early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's what made it easy for me. I'm like, man. And not only that, like the coaches too, like Ben Johnson, and I don't did Ed coach you?
I didn't coach me. He left the year I was here, but I've
Yeah,
heard really great things
yeah,
about
Ed
Coach
Conroy.
Conroy.
Shout out
Yeah.
to Ed Conroy, man. And
Yeah.
that's a really beautiful family, good people.
Yeah.
Ed, his wife, Hunt,
You got Hunt there
yeah,
too. The Saints fan himself.
Saints fan himself.
Yeah,
But
you know it.
for sure, beautiful family for sure. Ed and Coach Ed and Ben like recruited me really heavily. They would always show up to my school, because I think Creighton Durham high school campus is probably like 15 minutes from
Yeah.
campus
Right
here.
in St. Paul. Yep.
Yeah, right in St. Paul. And so they recruited me really heavily. I was talking to them. I was talking to them more than any coach, from any staff.
Yeah.
Outside of the U. And so they made it really easy for me to be like, where else would I go?
Yeah,
These
exactly.
my people right here.
Exactly, and that's how I kind of felt too with the
Yeah.
same process. And ironically, Coach Johnson was recruiting you as an assistant at the
Yeah,
U,
fact.
and then he was recruiting me as a head. So it was like he
Yeah.
kind of gave me the same message, where it was like, dude, imagine going somewhere else and thinking about
Literally.
what it would be like if you were at the U.
That's what I'd be saying.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's like, why would you not? Why would you not be here?
fact, in my opinion, as a basketball player, we all dream of playing at the highest level, and that's obviously the NBA. Not even just the NBA, just professionally in general.
Yeah.
You want to play at a high level, either it's in the NBA, G League, Euro League, overseas. It doesn't matter. We want to be able to play this game at a high level versus
Yeah.
great competitors, and I feel like, as a Minnesota kid, it didn't matter where I went to school,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the end goal is still the same.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I was like, if I take care of my business and do what I'm supposed to do,
Yeah.
regardless of where I'm playing at,
Mhm.
I can reach my end goal.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And you're able to do that obviously through the University of Minnesota. And me as a a Minnesota fan, thank you for coming to the U, because you made it fun for me to watch.
Yeah, I
Just
appreciate that.
watching your development as a player was phenomenal. Just the way, you obviously had a great freshman year, but the way that you turned into your sophomore year and just became a prolific scorer at the elbow, in the post, blocking shots. It was just fun to watch. But we talk about your freshman year, headed into your freshman year. I was actually talking to Coach Felly this morning, talking about your shoulder.
Yeah.
You ended up tearing your labrum. You broke several bones in your right shoulder. Kind of take us through that injury initially, kind of what happened, the story behind that.
For sure. I would say it was right after we won the state championship. We had like spring break, and after we came back from spring break, I had to leave school for like a week because I was invited to the Nike Hoop Summit,
Yeah.
and so I was able to go represent my family's home country, Nigeria, as a part of the world team versus the USA team.
Yeah.
It was a really fun experience out in Portland. And so leading up to that week, how it's set up is, I don't know how they do it now, but it's been a couple of years, but basically like you practice all week, the game's on like Friday, so you probably get there on Sunday, practice Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever.
Yep.
And nothing crazy, just trying to get acclimated to each of your teammates and stuff like that. Yeah. And then you play the game on Friday, so I think it's probably middle of the week, like third practice of the week. We're playing, I think we're doing like a 3v3 drill, and I was able to beat my guy off the dribble, and I was gonna go to the lane and dunk the ball. Big fella on my team, what's his name again? He played at Oregon. I think
He's still playing there?
yeah, still playing there. He had a monster dunk earlier in the year this year. And Folly Dante, that's his name.
Okay, here you go. You got it.
Yeah. Great player, by the way. Shout out him if he ever sees this. But he came over and, as a big, like we were rim protectors. We're trying to protect the rim. He came over, tried to block my shot. Ended up missing the ball, but hit my arm. And so like kind of threw my arm out of place. So for a second, I'm laying there. I'm like, it hurts like a motherfucker, but
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, it's cool, it's whatever. And then afterwards, like after I I settled a little bit, like I could barely lift my arm up. It was like every time I tried, it would be intense pain.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting an MRI on my arm and some X-rays, and they're like, yeah, like you tore your labrum, and there's a lot of bones broken around in your shoulder, like in the socket or whatever. I don't know how they explained it, but I ended up having to get surgery later that month. This is in April, so like later in April, I ended up having to get surgery. Um, and it sucked for sure because I think in May is when I graduated from school, and so like I moved into campus in June, and by this time like I've been after I had surgery, I go through surgery. Surgery. I mean, obviously you're knocked out, but
Yeah.
afterwards, I feel like that's probably the only time. Like for a week, is probably like when I was the only time I was really emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I was just like, man, like I never had to deal with anything
Yeah.
like this before, where I can't play basketball
Yeah.
and I can't use a part of my body. Like I was in a sling for about 4 months, and I could only use my left hand for things. And even in basketball, anybody that's played with me will make jokes about how I never use my left.
Yeah.
But so it was very difficult trying to do things like hold my phone. I could barely play video games, and I love video games.
Yeah.
Um, couldn't do anything really. And then after that week, 2 week period, and then finishing out my high school year, my senior year of high school, and then moving on to campus. I think once I got to campus is when I started to feel real good again.
Yeah.
Just because I was around my guys like Gabe and Jarvis, who came in with me as freshmen, who are also Minnesota guys,
Yeah.
and I was able to, they were able to help me. They like their presence lifted up my spirit,
Yeah.
being able to meet Marcus Carr
Yeah.
and um, having to this day a great relationship with that guy. Um, and being around them dudes, helped me get over my injury, because I saw how hard they were working, in a weight room on a court, during the, like
Yeah.
the summer workouts and stuff like that. That only motivated me harder, through my rehab to get back into the, my form and heal my speed up the healing process. So I could help get back and help my guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, me and Isaiah obviously both hurt right now, but we kind of, go through the same thing. When you're a part of a team,
Yeah.
when you see other people working, not only do you want to get better for yourself, but you want to get better so you can help those guys,
Fact.
And I think that's the true testament of a real competitor, is a guy that, puts himself aside and is like, hey, how can I help myself out in order to help the team out, and we talk a lot about, when you're going through, the shitty dog days of cardio, like taking your mind off yourself
Yeah.
and putting on your teammates. And then, that's able to, take you a little bit farther, and you're able to go a little bit farther. But, you talk about those dog days of surgery, and, oftentimes as basketball players, we find so much solace in just like having a basketball in our hands, just
Yeah.
like being able to, do something physical,
That's a fact. That's a
and
fact.
it was taken away from you. How were you kind of able to, obviously not, get over it, but how are you able to kind of like deal with those tough mental days? Was there anything that you leaned on specifically that helped you out?
My parents are ordained ministers at a church that they helped open about 15, 20 years ago. And so like I was raised in a church. I was raised by people. My parents are prayerful people.
Yeah.
And so just leaning back into my religion and my belief in Christ and God, just praying each and every day of, just guidance and just or like just continued strength to push through.
Yeah.
Like you talk about them dog days, like I tore my labrum. They had me doing Ultra G. You got the Ultra G machine
Oh,
in there
for
still?
sure. Yeah, for
like
sure.
I'm doing Ultra G. I'm sitting here like, why am I doing Ultra G when my injuries on my upper body? Like days like that. Just like understanding that this is all part of the process and just staying prayed up and pushing through is really what helped me.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I was able to the time frame of when they said I would be able to play fully was a lot shorter, just because like I put in a lot of work with our trainer,
Yeah.
Ben Fells.
Yep.
He helped me, each and every day I came in doing the little band thing.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
What do they call that yellow?
you know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
yellow like thing. That's
Yeah.
like a
It's like
wing.
a flex. Baseball players use it a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
We're doing
can't
this
remember
hand
what it's
motion. We got to pause, but
Yeah, pause that. But some like a bunch of stuff, and being able to just have the mindset of like just keep pushing,
yeah, for sure.
just keep going, And I think that's like a thing in life in general too. Like, like as human beings, we're gonna go through mood swings. Not every day is gonna be rainbows and sunshine,
No,
but
for
like
sure.
the idea of just, just trying to push through each and every day, being better than you were the day before
Yeah.
is the idea and the ideology. I think that helped me
For
out.
sure. Yeah, and you said the word process too, which is a word that a lot of people on the pod use. And you mentioned the process, in turn made the recovery shorter, so
Yeah.
it's less about worrying about the final product, but, indulging yourself in the process every single day and allowing that to, bring the timetable down. I
Yeah,
I talked to Coach Feldy this morning actually, kind of about your injury, and he mentioned he's like it's one of the dudes that just could put on muscle mass so fast, and a dude that just like you obviously you hurt your shoulder, so you can't do anything upper body wise, but once you're finally able to do that, you were able to put that
Yeah.
strength on in the
Fact.
weight room, and it's a testament to hard work.
Yeah, Coach Feldy, he helped me a lot too for sure. Cause I think I came in like probably like a little over 200 pounds, like, and ever since I left school, like to this day, I think I'm around like 235. I've always fluctuated between 235 and 240. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's my car key. Sorry about that. But
No, you put on that strength. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're not a high schooler no more. You're in the
for
Big
sure.
Ten. You know?
Yeah, you got like playing in the Big Ten. Like anybody knows this that's around college hoops knows it's a big league,
Yeah.
and so like, guys gonna come in looking like they 35
Yep.
when they're really like 19, 20,
Yep.
21. And so the work in the weight room with Coach Feldy, really helped, and I really benefited from that for sure.
Yeah. No, and exactly. You're in a spot where it's like, what is my freshman year gonna look like? I
Yeah.
just tore my labrum out in Portland. Like I want to come in and make an impact on a really solid team. You had
Yeah.
a great recruiting class with Minnesota guys like Jarv and Gabe, and was anybody else in that class? I don't want to miss nobody.
You could technically say Marcus Carr and
Yeah,
Peyton
Marcus-
Willis
yeah,
were,
true,
but
true.
they were red shirts, and because they transferred in.
But regardless, you got a lot of talent coming into the gym
Yeah.
that year, and you
Yeah.
guys want to do a special thing. You end up being ready for your freshman year. You played in 35 games. You started 31 of those games. You led the team in blocks with 46. You also led the team in field goal percentage at 55.1%. You ranked second in rebounding with 7 and third in scoring with 10.8. Kind of take us through, obviously, a solid freshman year. But you were left off the all Big Ten freshman team,
Yeah.
Something where you've cited that, motivated, kind of, the next year. Kind of take us through that year, and then, going into that summer, not making the, at the end of the day, rankings or whatever, awards or whatever, but being disrespected like that, you kind of take that personally,
For
kind of
sure.
take us through that process.
Like I definitely took that personally because I felt like, I had a really good freshman year. I had a good enough year to make the all freshman team.
Yeah.
On top of that, my team was a successful team. Went
Yeah.
to the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And, I took that as motivation, because I'm not a guy that's going to sit here and, be like I should be over this guy or anything
Yeah.
like that. Congratulations to whoever made it,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, but I feel like, whenever I step on the floor, I feel like I have the mindset of I'm trying to be the best player on the floor each and
Yeah.
every night. And so, I definitely took that as motivation because I felt like I deserved to make the team.
Mm-hmm.
And that summer going into my second year, I made it. Like I made up my mind that
Yeah.
like I'm gonna show people why they messed up for not putting me on that team.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was part of my motivation for sure. My second year in school.
Yeah, going back on that freshman year, like I said, mentioned 31 starts, which is not a very common thing for a freshman in the Big Ten to start
Yeah.
over 30 games. How was your mindset going into the season? Because obviously you just got off an injury. You're a freshman in the Big Ten. What were you kind of thinking, as a player, but also like as a dude, is like, hey, this is a grind,
Yeah, honestly, man, like my mindset going in was like I felt like I was good enough to be a starter.
For sure.
Especially because like I wasn't even like when I had my original injury, they said like the doctor said I wouldn't be able to play till like December,
Oh wow.
and that's like right around Big Ten play start.
Yeah.
And I think I was able to start in October,
Wow.
so like a couple months ahead of schedule. But ultimately, I felt like once I was able to practice fully and do stuff with the team, I was like, man, like I can show why I can be a starter,
Mm-hmm.
and some things contributed to that for sure. Like we had some early injuries, to some of our other bigs. Like EC had
Yep.
knee problems, and Mott Stockman was hurt a little bit.
Big Mott's.
Yeah, fact. Shout out Mott's, man. And so that contributed to it as well. Being kind of like having to be like you have to kind of
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
But like not only with that, like, I felt mentally prepared. Like I was ready to play as well.
Yeah.
Like I was confident in my
You
abilities.
seized that opportunity, kind of deal.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
like
sure.
I knew like if I was given the opportunity to play, that I'm gonna make the most of it.
Yeah.
And so I think like what contributed to me being able to start over 30 games that's my freshman year was me showing that I belong.
Yeah, for sure. And you
Yeah.
definitely did. You talk about a team that had a lot of success that freshman year. Actually, ironically enough, I don't know if you remember it, but you guys did your selection show. It was a bunch of Gopher fans. I was actually there that day.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was with one of my friends' dad as a regent. So I was actually there just kind of behind you guys in the team, watching you on selection Sunday
Yeah.
with the team. Kind of take us through. A lot of people don't get to experience March Madness, man. I've never gotten to
Man.
experience. A lot of guys haven't. Kind of take us through that process and the excitement, and it's obviously one of the biggest events in all of sports. So
Fact,
take us
fact.
through that.
Man, thinking back to it, man, it's kind of like a surreal moment, because it's like you said, like it's a big event in all the sports, not just basketball fans. Like, I feel like everybody at all ages. Like, I remember doing brackets when I was in middle school,
For
like
sure.
like tournament brackets and stuff like that, And for some reason, it's so funny, like I feel like I'm a basketball fan. Like I appreciate basketball players like all over, man. Like I'm a fan of a lot of guys. And the memory, a young memory of March Madness that sticks out to me is 2013. The run Trey Burke had in the
Yeah.
tournament with
That
Michigan.
Michigan team, for
The
sure.
Michigan team. I think that also contributed to me wanting to play in the Big Ten as well.
Wow.
Just watching guys like that all throughout that year. And that when I always think about March Madness, I don't know why that memory sticks out to me. And that day for selection day for with me and my team here at the U, that was playing through my head the whole time. Like, man, like it'd be so dope to just be able to experience this.
Yeah.
And hearing our name, hearing our school called and what seed we are and a whole bunch of stuff. Really like contributed to like the happiness that I felt that day with my brothers.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like we get another opportunity to go at it. Together again. And so now this time it's like a leveled playing field.
Yeah.
Because if you really think about it, like when you go into the tournament, it doesn't matter really what seed you are. Because we've seen teams that are the last seed in the tournament beat the first team,
Yeah.
first seeded team. We've seen teams that are 10 seed, 8 seed,
Yeah.
9 seed make
Upset
runs.
Central, man.
Upset
For sure.
Central, like. So what my mindset was like, now it's a level playing field. Like it don't matter. Like we're gonna play teams that we probably haven't played all year. It's one game, one loser go home,
Yep.
And so like I felt like I liked our chances a lot. Unfortunately it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but I think overall, man, that's an experience of a lifetime. And like you said, a lot of people don't get to experience that. But by the grace of God, I was fortunate enough to be able to experience that with some good guys.
Yeah, and obviously a great team and a great year. Definitely a year that Gopher fans will remember, and for a long time. A really solid team. We mentioned you being off that all Big Ten freshman list. You actually turned around your sophomore year. You were named to all Big Ten second team, Big Ten defensive all team selection. You averaged 20.1 points, 11.3 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. What was the biggest part of that summer that allowed you to take that next step into your game?
Man, I think definitely a couple things. I always like we talked about Coach Feldy earlier. I added more strength that summer, And then working on me being a floor spacer, you
Yeah.
know, being able to shoot the three ball. I think that's what contributed to it a lot, you know, because I felt like I had good skill off with the ball too. Like I was able to take guys off the dribble, you know, drive to the basket, you know, play in the elbow area a lot, you know, shoot the mid range jump shot, you know, and so I think one thing that goes underrated, one thing that flies under the radar is confidence.
For sure.
You know, a lot of players don't have the confidence to, you know, do certain things on the floor, you know, and there could be a lot of things contributing to that, you know, maybe you're scared of your coach taking you out or like you missing a shot, you know, at the end of the day, nobody's ever gonna go 25 for 25 from the
Never.
field.
Never.
So you got to like in my mind, I was like, if I start shooting threes this upcoming season, like I have to be okay with when I miss.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I think that's what helped me, like understanding that I'm not gonna make them all.
Yeah.
But if I can show that I can space the floor at a high level, that'll open up my game completely.
Yeah, it takes your game to a new level. Where'd you find that confidence? Is it something you just looked within? You're like, hey, let's do this thing, or was it,
A little bit of that, and then also just my teammates. You
Yeah.
know, that whole summer, like in practice, my coaches, like we would do when we would play 5-on-5 and do stuff as a team. Like I was always shooting, knocking down threes. You
Yep.
know, and my teammates are like, you know, they
Keep
were
shooting that mug.
keep shooting it.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying. Like you can do it. Like don't hold it back. You know, and my head coach, Coach Patino at the time, you know, like he really encouraged me to, you know, by all means, bro, take it. You
For
know,
sure.
like at the end of the day, like my staff and my teammates kind of enabled me and gave me that confidence of like we know what you can do. Like just go out there and play your game.
Yeah, no, it's such a beautiful thing too when you're a part of, and that's what makes team sports so fun. You know, you're a
Fact.
part of a team that allows you to be the best version of yourself. You know, and
Yeah.
you were a guy in high school who was so dominant down low that you didn't really have to space it.
Yeah,
But then
fact.
when you take it to your next level, it's like, okay, I'm planning on going to the league.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to have to do as a 6'10", 6'11" guy that needs to stretch the floor,
Nah,
and
for
you
real.
find confidence from your teammates, and that makes it even better. We talk about the year you had with 20 and 11, 20 and 12. What point in that season did you know that this was the last year and I'm headed to the NBA draft? Was it during the season? Was it postseason? Kind of when did that click in your head?
It was. I definitely think it was. As you go out through the year, you hear like a bunch of
Yeah,
like you hear things, you see things, you
all
see
the
posts,
rumblings on
all the
Twitter and
rumblings
all
and
that.
stuff
Yeah,
like that, you know. And I never let any of that really get to my head, you know.
good.
I would definitely say like I don't think I ever talked about this with anybody, but I would definitely say the moment where I felt like it was time for me to leave, you know, was um after the Big Ten tournament. You
Yeah.
know, I went home, you know, cause
Was this when COVID?
this is when COVID
Okay,
hit,
yep,
and
yep.
so COVID shut down um the season, and I ended up, you know, I was home for a while, you know, I was training,
Yeah.
just working out. And I just felt like, you know, like I felt like this is the best opportunity for me to, you know, to really start my journey of being a
Yeah.
professional basketball player.
Yeah.
You know, obviously making the NBA is a goal, but it's not the end goal. It's
Mm-mm.
not what you want in the end. You want to play in the league.
Yeah.
You want to be able to play this game till you're 35, 40.
Yeah, like Braun, man.
Like Brian, for real, man, he's special.
For sure.
And so, I would definitely say around that time, you know, being home, understanding that, like, man, like, being confident in myself and just like I could take this next jump, you know, and not um wanting to, you know, make a decision where it's like, man, I should have did this instead, you
Mhm.
know, like I don't want to live my life with any regrets.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was like, man, you know, like forget it. Like I'm gonna leave, you know,
Yeah.
just because I feel like I had a great year,
Yeah, you
you know,
did.
good enough year to get my name called.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, with COVID and how I was looking at that time, bro, the uncertainty was too.
Yeah.
It was too. It was so many things are too uncertain.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't. There's nothing was for sure. So I was like, I know one thing for sure is the NBA draft.
Yeah.
And the NBA is gonna be there for sure.
No
So
doubt.
I was like, you know, I didn't know like there was so many talks of like the upcoming season being canceled and
Because they were preparing to cancel the football season,
football
all
season.
that, so
Yeah,
it's like,
so I
what's
was
going to
just
happen?
like, man, like I'm not trying to have like, Cause like, teams, in the league, like it's like the year. I don't want there to be a year where I didn't play ball.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure. And the NBA is not going to shut down.
Yeah,
NBA is going
fact.
to run whatever they got to
They'll
run.
figure it out.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's a lot of money going to
Way
that
too
league.
much money. Yeah, way too much money. You talk about, making that decision. Obviously, it's a tough one. Nobody, I don't think anybody that's a true professional, has any like animosity towards their school. It's like, I got to leave and I got to go to, it's like, I got to leave because I got to start my professional career. I got to make this decision for my career.
I always wanted to be a pro. So
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
after that second year, I was like, man, like, it's my best college year. I'll definitely declare it for sure.
Yeah.
And I heard great feedback from teams as well. Like,
Yeah.
when you declare, there's like a test or like there's like you can get feedback from teams on where they think you'll end up in the draft or whatever.
Yeah.
I got really good feedback, and I literally went in the air. Like, I was 33rd pick, but that was in a spot like that teams are like, this is where we see you getting picked at.
Yeah, exactly. And then, throughout that year, you talk about the rumblings. Like, you were at like on the edge of lottery, and you were, up there in the picks, and it's like that's definitely in the back of your brain a little bit, as you're going through that process. You end up being selected as the 33rd pick in the 2020 NBA draft by the Minnesota Timberwolves. Actually, you became the first University of Minnesota player to be drafted since Chris Humphries in 2004. You were subsequently then traded to the Clippers. Kind of take us through that crazy process. Like, hey, I'm gonna stay home, but dang, now I'm going to LA. But like, hey, it's LA, so like that's cool too.
Yeah, fact.
Take us through those emotions.
Shit, so basically, like draft night, like once they announced the pick or whatever, like my agent, they call, like, I think you get a call before, like,
sure.
My agent called me before, was like, this is where you're going right here, but he already told me that I wasn't staying there and that I was ending up in LA.
Yeah.
And so, like, I knew I was going to LA, but the idea of me being able to stay home again, that would have been extraordinary, cat.
That's a crazy story.
That would have been dope for sure. And so, it was exciting for sure. It was an exciting moment for sure, and then like I said earlier, my boy Mir plays for the Clippers.
Yep.
He was already out there, and so I was like, man, like, I'm about to be teammates with my boy again.
For sure.
Out in LA. Like, I think I've probably been to LA maybe one time before that. I think I went to Kobe Bryant's training facility out in Thousand Oaks. So that technically even is in LA, but it was dope, man. Just the idea of like, I get to live in Los Angeles, California, and play for the Clippers and play in Staples Center and be teammates with my boy, be teammates with Kawhi, Paul
PG.
George.
What about that, man? Is that is that intimidating? Is it exciting? Like, what emotions are going through, like, knowing you're gonna go play with two Hall of Famers?
It was cool as hell, It was exciting for sure, just seeing them type of guys and seeing what they did each and every day and what made them so great, I had a lot of good team. I played with so many guys my rookie year that I was like, man, like, I never thought about being on a team with you, like Boogie Cousins, Rondo, Pat Bev, Mook Morris.
It's just a crazy list of names.
Crazy list of names.
Champions, NBA champions.
Some
sure.
guys are NBA champions, and so like, it was an unreal experience for sure, being able to be in that type of atmosphere and environment.
Yeah, a lot of rookies talk about the learning process of learning your NBA routine. You don't got to go to school anymore, so you got to figure out, I'm gonna do this at this time. JJ Redick talks a lot about on his podcast about like, you don't have to you don't have to work, like, you don't have to do more, but it's just like you got to prioritize your time, and you got to, because you're out, you've always been a professional the way you approached your workouts. Obviously it's why you got to that level, but prioritizing your time, was there a moment that you took from any of those guys, or a moment, or a memory that made you realize, like, hey, this is what it takes to be in the league?
Yeah, I definitely think being a routine is what's needed. Like you said, you don't go to school anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just like, for me, I was living out there on my own for a little while, and then so figuring out like what you have going on each and every day. Obviously they have the time slot for practice and lifts and stuff like that. But like, it's like, what are you doing before? What are you doing after? And just making sure that you're getting your work in is what's really important. Trying to better yourself each and every day.
Yeah.
That's what's really important. I feel like the grind never stops. You know, like it don't matter if you're not playing at all. If you're playing, you know, guys, you know, are doing something each and every day to be better for the next day.
For sure. Yeah, and you talked about, you know, that list of guys, you know, that, you know, are on the roster, NBA vets. You eventually got to play in 30 games with the Clippers. Do you have a welcome to the NBA moment? Do you have a moment where you're like, damn, these guys are good?
Yeah, you know,
Is there a specific moment, or is it more of just like a?
I feel like my moment was more of like the whole year in general. Like
yeah.
it just like because even though I played in 30 games, I don't think I played any real meaningful minutes. And I would definitely say like the first time, like my first preseason game was versus the Lakers.
Yeah.
And in Staples Center, like
Is it a Lakers home game or a Clippers home game?
it's a Lakers home game.
Okay. Okay.
And so in Staples Center, you know, like once you drive down the ramp to park your car and you go through security, like you walking towards like the locker room areas. And so like the Lakers locker room, the LA Kings, and then the Clippers locker room.
So you have your own. You get to sit in your home locker room even though you're away gaming. Okay. I've always been curious about that. What they do there.
They literally, it's like this would be the Lakers. This would be the Kings, and then that last one would be ours. They're all literally in the same hall, and so there's a hallway right by the Lakers locker room that you need to take up. You go upstairs to get food.
Okay.
And so, I'm walking that hallway. I go get food, whatever. I'm walking back down to the locker room. It's the first time I ever seen LeBron.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
I walk right by him. I ain't say anything, but I wish I did. But I seen it. I'm like, man, like this is like that guy.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I met Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
You know, when I was younger in high school, and that was the most surreal moment to me ever.
I believe it.
Because he's my favorite player all the time. But LeBron, just seeing the guy's the face of the league.
And you're in a hallway, and you're a competitor. You know, you're the same. Like, yeah, obviously he's Bron, and he's the GOAT, and da da da. But like, dude, I'm in the league too. Like, we about to play against each other. You know what I'm saying?
Fact, you know, so like in that time period, it's like That's why I think that's why I didn't say anything, just because like we about to play here in a second. Like face. Our teams are about to play. Just walk by, act like I've been here before. You know, but you know, I think that moment was so dope because I think that was like the moment in my mind. I told my mom about it. Like I called my mom. I'm like, man, mom, I just seen. I just walked by, bro. Yeah, that cat. And so I think that just that moment was a more of like, wow, like you're really here, bro. Like, keep going. Like,
for
do
sure.
it for yourself and do it for your fam.
For sure. Yeah, that's a special moment. You know, obviously people that know me know that I'm like the biggest LeBron fan in the world. And so like, you know, that moment would have been I don't even know, I don't know if I'd be able to like I'd like collapse in that hallway. You know, I'd be trying to put on that tough guy face, but like it's crazy. It's LeBron James. So it's like, is it true that he walks around with like 2 personal bodyguards at all time? Is that cap?
I don't really know as far as that. Yeah, he was with probably I think one other guy.
Yeah.
Like a team representative.
Yeah.
Or something.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, you end up being traded to the Grizzlies August 16th of 2021. They eventually waive you, and then you were signed by the Bulls. Waived again. You joined the WindyCity Bulls. The NBA is, I mean, it's a business. It's a cruel world out there. Kind of take us through that process. You know, being, you know, you go from LA to Memphis to Chicago. Like, how does that affect one, you know, physically, but also, you know, mentally as a hooper?
You know, I definitely won't lie, it sucked for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it was very disappointing. You know, because I didn't feel like I felt like I just never had the real chance to really show what I could really do.
Yeah.
For the Clips, you know, but as time went on, I eventually got over it, you know, and shifted my focus, you know, just.
You have to.
Yeah, just getting better. And so I ended up in Chicago, ended up getting waived by the Bulls and signing with the WindyCity Bulls under Exhibit 10. And then, these last couple of years with the WindyCity team has been definitely interesting, but, you know, definitely, I think, a learning curve that I needed to go over.
For sure.
Just because, like, there was a lot of things in my game, and not even just basketball related, but just outside of basketball that I needed to hone in on and get better at, you know. And I think, you know, being in Windy City has really taught me a lot, you know, about really understanding what the grind is, you know, like There's guys in the G that have been in the G for 5, 6 years,
Yeah.
grinding just for literally a 10-day
trying to
contract.
get 1, 2, 3 NBA games. Trying to
Yeah,
prove
literally trying to
themselves.
prove themselves.
Yeah.
So like when you think about but people outside of basketball that don't really understand like what the G League is like, like the G League is tough.
Whew, there's some hoopers in the G League.
Man, the G League, I think the G League is insane low key.
Yeah, it is.
You don't get paid as much money as NBA guys for sure, but ultimately, like there's some really good guys. Like my team in particular, like the G League leading scorers in my team, Carlik Jones, and
Oh, he's tough. Man.
he's insane. Point guard, just great overall basketball player. Can shoot it, can take you off the dribble, can finish at the rim,
Yeah.
plays hard.
Yeah, no, it's so much talent, and I played against a named Trevor Hudgens. I don't know if you know the name. He's with the Rockets G League.
He's insane too.
Yeah.
He's really good too.
Yeah, he ended my career at Northern in the Sweet 16 with just a nasty combo move, 3 at the buzzer. I was standing underneath the hoop and I just saw it go in. I'm like, shit.
Man.
The moment he hit that, I'm like, yeah, that dude's gonna be a leaguer for sure.
For
I
sure.
was watching him last night. He hit a couple threes against the Thunder in the Rockets game. But you just talk about dudes that are just like waiting for that opportunity.
It's a grind. Everybody
sure.
down there is trying to, like, the thing about it that makes it so difficult is everybody in the G all have the same goal, and it's to make a roster, it's to make a team. And so, like, it's amplified even more when guys are thrust into a spot where it's like you're playing in a gym that got maybe 15 people in it in middle of like Fort Wayne, Indiana, or something like that, or like you're just in a position where like you have to really exert yourself.
Yeah.
If this is really what you want to do, you have to exert yourself.
You gotta be 10 toes.
You gotta be 10 toes. You gotta be
sure.
solid, man.
For sure.
Because at the end of the day, bro, everybody's coming for what you want.
Yeah.
And not only that, there's benefits from like you're playing for access to the NBA team.
Yeah.
You're playing for teams that are looking at you overseas. Just in general, it's a whole culmination of things. But like, I think as the years will go on, I think people will start understanding more and more about the G League and understand that like this is real basketball and this is some serious shit right here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's on ESPN Plus a lot too. So if anybody's listening, you get a second, like turn that thing on. It's just hoops,
see
man.
some great basketball.
It's more hoops. It's just more hoops.
More hoops. You see great players. Guys.
Sure.
Like guys like you hear guys like all the time. Fred VanVleet. A bunch of guys and players that are solidified names in the NBA all had to go through that G League grind as well.
Yeah, no doubt. And you talk about going through that grind and just continuing to be blessed in the position that you're in. Obviously you're gonna have a lot more basketball in your future. Do you have any plans when those the ball stops bouncing? Do you have anything like, hey, I want to do this? I want to is there any plans for your future? Or are you kind of more living in the moment and just trying to get better every single day now?
Man, I think for right now I'm just really living in the moment.
Yeah.
Just understand. Like I'm only 23.
Yeah, you're younger. You're younger than me, man. You're younger than me.
And so just understanding that like I'm trying to take it day by day.
Yeah, it's a process.
Just like I say, a process. I'm just trying to be better than I was the day before. Each and every day. And just ultimately, I feel like as time goes on, I'll continue to try to figure out what I would want to do outside of basketball when I'm done playing. But ultimately, I'm just trying to enjoy it all.
Yeah.
Like you only get to do this one time, and God has blessed me, fortunately enough, to be in a position where I can do this for a living. We talk about it all the time in the locker room. Like, it's the best job in the world.
Yeah, no doubt.
We get to play a children's game for free, for money.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people have that experience or the opportunities to do that.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
it makes me like even more grateful because so many people would dream to be in a position like I am in, and many other players are in, and so it makes you never want to take it for granted. You want to appreciate each and every moment.
Yeah. There's so much beauty and there's so much truth in that statement right there. Last question, wrapping up. This last question is sponsored by Northern Chill. We talked about injury. We talked about adversity, different things that you've learned through injuries and, adversity in the league. What advice would you give to the 12-year-old version of Daniel Oturu, going through injury, going through adversity, whether it's injury or whether it's something your personal, mental life? Like, what kind of advice would you give, a young version of yourself that now, but that you didn't know back then?
Man, stay locked in.
Yeah.
You know, there's gonna be hella bumps in the road. There's still gonna be more bumps in the future, you know, but ultimately at the end of the day, just stay locked. You know, I think that's one thing that has helped me, you know, just overcome a lot of things that I've gone through in my career.
Yeah.
So far, my short career has only been things my 30 years of pro.
Yeah.
But understanding that, you know, being able understanding that you have to control what you can control.
Yeah.
And that's your constant effort, the way you approach practice, and the energy that you bring. If you control those things, that's all you should be focusing on.
Yeah.
You know, because everything else is outside your control.
I love it.
And so that's what I would definitely give myself, my younger self, advice.
Yeah.
And to anybody else that's younger out there listening, you know, just, you know, like, you have a dream, stick with it, push for it, you know, and just stay locked.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, me personally, when I'm done playing, and regardless of how my career plays out, I'll be satisfied with how my career plays out, knowing that I gave it everything that I had.
For sure.
You know, I'd rather, you know, that's one thing that I'm learning now. You know, it's like I'd rather give it all I got.
Yeah.
And if I still come up short, you know, regardless in that whatever area, I'm fine with it. You know, because I tried my hardest.
It's all you can control.
Yeah, you don't want to sit there and have any regrets or be like, damn, I should did this better, or I could have did this better, and I was tweaking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
no,
know, yeah.
that's great advice. That's great advice. Dan, we appreciate you coming on the pod. You've been an awesome guest. Make sure you guys turn those notifications on. You get ready for the pod coming on Friday and every Friday. You know, Dan, we appreciate you coming on, taking your time to meet with me here and, you know, talk a little bit about your life and your career.
Nah, man, I appreciate you having me on. Sure, it's been dope.
Yes, sir. It's been Parker Fox and Daniel Oturu with the Double Down Podcast, and we're out.